Hey there. If you are diving into this social media marketing world, you might be a little bit confused, specifically about how to refer to yourself and what to refer to your services as. Over the past few years, the coaching industry has kind of really exploded. And it used to be the case that anyone who wanted to do social media would become a social media manager. That's how I got my start as a freelancer. But nowadays, we're seeing this term pop up a lot more, which is social media coach or social media consultant. So today I want to dive into what each of those different things are, and also some pros and cons of social media coaching and social media management, as well as some tips to help you get started with either of those professions. So according to Indeed, the job description for a social media manager says, their duties include analyzing engagement data, identifying trends in customer interactions, and planning digital campaigns to build community online. So essentially, the social media manager role is a hands-on role. If you want to be a social media manager, you should expect to look at data, look at trends on different social media platforms, understand the business goals, and then make decisions about what content to actually post on the social media platforms. You will likely be using a social media scheduling tool like Hootsuite or Buffer or Sprout Social, or maybe you just use Facebook's Creator Studio to schedule posts out onto the platform. Now, some social media managers, and in my experience personally, I was also responsible for creating a lot of content. This is something that isn't always necessarily written out in job descriptions, and I may or may not have my own feelings about whether that's appropriate, but usually you will need to know your way around a tool like Canva. You might need to make snippets of podcasts or video content with a tool like Headliner or like Descript, or know your way around Photoshop. So that's also a part of social media management. This is usually the right solution for established small to medium-sized businesses. And what I mean by that is, established and profitable, because hiring a social media manager is hiring somebody on retainer. You're hiring somebody on a monthly contract. So maybe you're paying them, $1,500, $2,500, $3,000 per month to be a team member, to be on your team, and basically to, full-time work for you. Not necessarily full-time hours, but they will be managing your accounts day to day, month to month, year to year. So one of the big mistakes that I see for service providers is that they target the small companies because they feel like, well, I'm just starting out, so I need to work with very small, not yet established companies. And that's actually not a great approach, because oftentimes they don't have the budget to support your needs. And what ends up happening is social media managers will then undercharge. They'll say, okay, well, I can manage your social media for $300, $500 a month, whatever. And that's just not sustainable for most people to make a thriving business off of. So that's what a social media manager is. It's also important to note, of course, that that is a full-time job. You can apply for full-time jobs and expect to see salaries around $52,000 and upwards. Now, a social media coach, according to Indeed, well, this is actually the description for a consultant. I'll talk about the difference between consulting and coaching in a second, but a social media consultant is an individual who specializes in social media strategy and planning. Companies and clients often contract their services to develop and improve a company's social media presence through marketing techniques and strategic practices. In addition to helping companies locate areas for growth, they also help companies set goals for social media campaigns. So basically, the consultant is a less hands-on role. In the more sort of traditional corporate world, a consultant would come in, maybe look at your analytics, give you some objectives, give you some benchmarks, and they can make some general recommendations for you and then hand it off to your social team, who will then say okay, great, we're going to implement what this consultant or strategist just told us. So really, social media coaching is kind of a consulting role with a little bit of a modern day twist. A social media coach is also kind of a cheerleader for their clients. They're there for motivation and accountability, in addition to the strategy and helping clients understand how social works. People often hire coaches as opposed to full service providers because they want to be hands-on themselves in their business. So let's say maybe I owned a lash company or a blow dry bar, and I was, I'm like a 30-year-old millennial. I understand social media. I actually like social media. I just need some strategic guides, meaning I want to know what other blow dry bars in, the country and in the state and in the city are doing. I want to know like the best practices, what's really trending on social media. I don't have time to pay attention to every single new feature on Instagram, things like that. That might be a case for hiring a coach, especially if that blow dry bar owner was just starting out and bootstrapping and they really didn't have the funds available to hire a full-time person or a long-term service provider. So often coaching is a better fit for those types of people, maybe solopreneurs, newer businesses, social savvy and hands-on founders, also maybe like a thought leader or an influencer, if you will, so maybe a speaker, an author. Oftentimes they like to really have their own voice behind their social accounts. They don't like to hand it off to other people. Okay, so which one should you offer? Should you offer both? Let's talk a little bit about pros and cons. So the first pro for social media management for me is that you're really responsible for success and accountability. Something that I don't love so much about coaching is that I can tell people all day, or consulting, I can tell people all day, do this, do that, here's my advice. And it's really up to them if they actually implement it. So sometimes you might have a coaching client who does a great job listening to you and you come up with all these great ideas, but you just don't end up seeing the results because they didn't follow through on their part. With social media management, you're the one doing it. So what you put in is what you get out. The other pro is that when you think about it, you can usually get higher rates when on retainer. So it's not uncommon for a social media manager to charge, $2,000 a month or higher really for their services. Whereas a coach, some coaches can charge that amount, but usually you might see something more like a $200 1-hour call or something of that nature, which if you think about it, you'd have to work a lot of hours with that same company, which isn't common. Usually a company is going to book maybe 2 coaching hours with you a month, 3 coaching hours with you a month. They're not going to be paying that same large retainer in most cases. That can vary a lot. The other pro is that social media management is really hands-on, which if you're somebody who really likes doing this, that's why we get into this, right? Is because we enjoy social media. We enjoy creating. We enjoy being creative. It's a fun role. It really is. You get to do something different every day. You get to interact with a lot of different teams and a lot of different people. And it's just a really fun job, honestly. Some of the cons, though, are the first one. Again, is you're also, you're responsible for the results and the accountability. So sometimes people hire somebody, a full service person, thinking that, like that, they're going to change the world. And as we know, things take time. Building a social media profile definitely takes time. It is not an overnight thing. And so I would always sign my social media management contracts for 3 months minimum, hoping for actually a 6-month contract, because it's really tough to see results faster than 3 months. Massive results, business changing type results. And sometimes that can be hard because a business owner or a client might be disappointed if after, 20 days, they haven't seen this massive influx in sales, because it does take time. Also, if you get sick or if you're not feeling it one day and you don't post, or you're behind or not putting in the same level of effort, your results will reflect that. Another con is dealing with client requests and demands. 99% of the clients that you have will probably be amazing, but there's always that 1%. And this goes for coaching clients too, but I think the difference is that full service social media management clients, it's full service. So you're going to be talking to them maybe every day, maybe emailing with them every day. They're going to be really watching exactly what you're doing. And I think the feedback and the complaints and things like that can just be a lot more detailed than with coaching. You're actually delivering a done for you service with social media management. So people might be nitpicking your copywriting or your design skills, or they might be just, unhappy with your work, but not being able to express why they're unhappy. So that can be very challenging. We've covered a lot of different difficult client situations here on this channel, but let me know if you'd like to see more resources on that, or if you have a client horror story, you can comment that down below too. Another con, it's a pro and a con, but it is very fast paced and it's always changing. Social media platforms are always changing. Best practices are always changing. Your clients' businesses are always going to be changing. So you have to really be reactive. You can plan content in advance, of course, and you should, but you also do have to have a certain level of just responding to business demands, responding to business trends. So it's kind of hard to sometimes get ahead. And you do really have to stay educated. You have to make sure that you're taking courses, that you're watching videos like this, that you're, on Twitter, like educating yourself. Otherwise, you'll fall behind. Now, as far as coaching, one of the biggest pros to coaching is that it's very remote friendly. You can truly do coaching anywhere in the world, that you have an internet connection and that you have a webcam available. Social media management is the same, but there are a little bit more caveats to that, I would say. I mean, you also need a hard drive. You might need a camera if you're going to be creating content. You might need to be available for more meetings because there is kind of that higher level of commitment to the client, and it might be a little bit more demanding in certain ways. So coaching, as long as you're available for those 1-hour calls that you book with people, or however you choose to book your packages and package your calls, as long as you're available for those, you're good to go. With that said, another pro is that there is less obligation and commitment. Now, this can also be a con because if you're looking for retainer work, meaning you're looking for ongoing work that is going to pay your bills every single month, this can be a con. But if you're somebody who has built up a good emergency fund, or you have a good cash flow coming in from maybe one of your full service social media management clients pays most of your bills, you're just looking for some add-ons, that can be nice because, one of the reasons that we choose to become freelancers is that we want a flexible lifestyle. And you might choose to go to Europe for 3 months and just kind of disappear. Or, if you want to have a baby and you're going to go on maternity leave, or, there's so many different things that you may want to do, and having that obligation of posting every single day for a client can be a detriment in some cases. And the other big pro for me is that you get to work with a lot of different clients. So again, if you're working as a social media manager on retainer, there's a limit of how many full service social media management clients you can take. Probably no more than 5, and even 5 is really pushing it. I would say probably 3 if you're posting, on all the social platforms for them and doing a really quality job. You're limited in how many clients you're able to take. With coaching clients, again, if you're booking 1-hour calls, there's 8 hours in a day. So even if you choose to dedicate half of your day to that, that's 4 different clients that you could have capacity for. So I think that's really fun because you get to see a lot of different businesses. You get to interact with a lot of different people. And if you're a very social person or very extroverted and really fuel yourself from human interaction, that can be a good option for you. Now let's talk about the cons. The first one is that coaching can be very emotionally draining. And even when I said that, 4 coaching calls in a day, I kind of gasped a little bit because that's a lot. It's a lot of energy that you're exuding. I am an introvert, so I will say that. Now, like I said, if you are very extroverted, maybe that's amazing to you. That sounds so fun. For me, I find I work best when I have just a handful of coaching clients, just a very small number of them. Because if I start to get too many, I feel like I have no energy. And, even just the little things of a coaching client complaining about their day can really rub off on you. Or if they have a bad experience with one of their clients or their business, it can really kind of affect your mood as well. So you have to be careful about that. Another con, I kind of mentioned it earlier, is that there can be a lack of accountability and results for you. Now, this shouldn't be the case. Hopefully you're doing a great job and you're really, performing as a coach. But at the end of the day, you can't force anyone to do anything. So if you tell someone, hey, you should really be posting 3 times a week instead of, once every other week, and they don't do it, there's only so much that your words and that your accountability can do to get them to do that. So you might not see these massive, amazing results that you might want for your portfolio. The last con is that sometimes coaching has sort of a bad reputation. This is, I guess, my personal opinion, but just what I've seen from clients and people in the industry. Sometimes it can have a bad connotation in that coaches are always really scammy and they're always trying to sell you something, and they don't like to work hard and they're lazy. Like, these are all things that I've heard. Now, any job can have a bad reputation, right? But this is just something that I do see quite often. And I'll also say that coaching isn't an easy sell, because you really need to have sort of a reputation for yourself before you can start selling coaching services. I mean, I could tell you right now, I could be like, hey guys, I'm gonna start a business as a fitness coach, right? Why would you trust me to be your fitness coach if I don't have any certifications in that industry? If I don't have a typical fitness coach body, right? I am not like in the gym all the time. You kind of have to do it either for yourself and have built up a strong, solid business using social media, or you have to have put in the years and the time being a social media manager or a social media strategist before you can really move into the coaching role, because otherwise you have no social proof. It's like I could hire John Doe off of, this random website to do my social media coaching, but how do I know that they even know what the heck they're talking about? So it can be a little bit of a harder sell. You might be thinking that social media management is the same way, but I feel like people are often a little bit more willing to take a risk if it's, hey, they're just gonna do my social media for 1 month or something. We'll see how it goes. I feel like it's a little easier. With a coach or a consultant, you're really paying for somebody's expertise. So they should truly be like the best of the best in that industry to have an easier sell. Now, if you're looking to get started, I have a ton of resources on this YouTube channel for you. For social media management, I have a video that walks you through pretty step-by-step, I'll link it up here, of how to get started as a social media manager. I also have a signature program that's coming back for round 2 in September. It's called the Social Media Management Accelerator. This is truly the proudest thing I have ever done. It is the best course I've ever put out. It is a very immersive, hands-on course that guides you towards being a social media manager. It's an 8-week course, a cohort-based course, meaning you join with a group of about 100 other students, and we do 2 to 3 times weekly live classes where you can actually interact with me and ask me questions after the lecture. We have assignments, we have quizzes, we work with a set of mock brands so you can actually get a portfolio put together and get some sample projects under your belt so you can go out and apply for jobs and projects after the class is over. And we also do a pitch competition at the end, which is super, super fun. So that is gonna be opening up very soon. I'll leave a link in the description box if you wanna get on the wait list. No obligation, it's just saying, hey, send me information when the doors are open. So I'll link that down below if you're interested. If you want to become a coach, I also have a video that I'll link up here about developing your first coaching program. So that should be a good one for you to check out. And I will also link my coaching journal down in the description box. This is a great starter for you if you don't know really where to start with your coaching calls. The main spread of the coaching journal really walks you through the critical elements of a coaching call. So you'll be able to write out your agenda for the call, you'll be able to take some notes during the call, and then you'll also be able to reflect on the client's wins from that week, their opportunity areas, as well as keep both of yourselves accountable as opposed to what action items you're gonna take from that call, and what are some of your long-term goals with that client. So I will link all of those resources either up here in the cards or down below. I hope this was helpful for you. If you have any questions about social media management or coaching, leave them down below and I will talk to you in my next video. Bye.